welcome back to my channel. My name is Hope Taylor and I am a senior portrait and wedding photographer based in Charleston, South Carolina. And this YouTube channel is where I share education for photographers and a little bit of a sneak peek in my life in the Low Country. And today we're gonna be talking all about how to charge for travel as a photographer, how to charge for destination weddings, destination shoots. I get this DM and email all the time from photographers that are like, I got an inquiry for this awesome destination, but I have no idea what to charge and how to make sure that I'm still profiting and that it's worth my time and blah, 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 blah. So that's what we're gonna cover in today's video. But before we dive in, I just wanted to tell you that there is a free gift for you in the description down below, and I'm sharing my free senior gear checklist. So if you've ever wondered what I bring with me to every single senior portrait session, whether it's local or destination, and kind of how I pack my bag to get to destination shoots, that is a free guide for you down below just as a thank you for tuning in. So make sure you get your hands on that if you want a copy. But I'm really excited to dive into how to charge for wedding photography because I recently moved to Charleston from Northern Virginia in the last 2 years, which means I get a lot of destination wedding inquiries for brides back in Virginia that follow me for a really long time and they want to fly me out for their wedding in Virginia even though I no longer live there. So while I might not be a destination wedding photographer that only shoots destinations like you see sometimes where they're in Italy and just all over Europe and in these most amazing places, I've done that once or twice, but I am typically shooting more like local US based weddings, but I'm still traveling and I want to make sure that I charge accordingly. So there are a lot of different ways to charge for travel in your photography business. I've seen it done so many different ways. And the first piece of advice or encouragement I want to give you is that there's no right or wrong way to do this, right? Like it's gonna look different for everybody's business and it's also going to look different whether you enjoy traveling or not. Is it like emotionally exhausting for you to travel or do you love to travel? Because you might charge differently if you really love to travel versus if you'd rather stay at home. Is adding travel photography to your portfolio going to be valuable to you as a photographer? Is that going to help you expand because you want to shoot more destination weddings? Is this your first destination wedding where this is like a huge, exciting opportunity for you? Because you may charge less than if you've been doing it for 10 years and it's taking away from other opportunities to travel across the country. There's a lot of different factors that are going to play into how you charge for travel photography, how you structure your packages, and how valuable it is to you and your business, and whether you even really like it or not. My first piece of encouragement is just that this is going to look different for everybody. You do not have to do it the way that I do it. You don't have to do it the way that anybody else does it. You have to do it how works best for you. But there are 3 really popular ways, and I say the most common ways, that I see photographers charge for travel. So we're gonna run through those together, and then I'm gonna explain exactly how I structure this in my own business. So number 1, the first way to charge for destination travel in your photography business is to charge a flat fee for your travel costs. So I see this done very often where people just have a photography package and then they have a travel photography package. Maybe there's $1,000 difference between those 2 packages, but all of the travel expenses are included in that fee. So if you spend $500 on flights and a hotel, then you profit $500. Whatever's left over once you book all of your expenses and amenities is what you get to profit, and that's just a flat rate. I think that's great because I think that it's really simple and straightforward to your client, but I do think that there's also times where you'll lose money and not profit an even amount each time. So that works for some people. That's not how I do it, but I think that charging a flat fee is a really good option, especially if you know that the travel costs are going to be similar. So maybe you have like a US-based travel package and then an international travel package, because you obviously don't want to charge the same for both of those things because you might end up losing money if you charge like to drive 5 hours away versus flying to Italy. It's not going to be the same. You want to make sure that you're pricing yourself so that you're not losing money to travel to these weddings. Option 2 is that you can charge just for the reimbursement of your expenses. And what you can do is just have your client reimburse you for whatever your expenses are. The downside of that is you're not necessarily profiting additional income for your time to travel to that place, but you're also, you're not losing money, right? Because you're sending them a receipt for the cost of your hotel, for the cost of your flight, and you're getting reimbursed for every single expense that you have. And that way you know that you are not losing any money for that travel opportunity. Option 3, which is what I do and what I think is the most lucrative and makes the most sense, is that you can do a combination of option 1 and 2. So you can have a flat fee for your time to travel in addition to being compensated for your expenses. The reason that I like option 3 is because I think that as a photographer, especially if you already run a business where you travel often and where it's not necessarily valuable to your business to travel and shoot destination work, you want to be compensated for your time because realistically, if you're traveling for a wedding day, you're not just spending time at that wedding day. You have a travel day before and a travel day right after, and potentially time in between, which could be used for yourself if you'd like for it to be, but you need to be compensated for the time you have to take off work in order to travel to that destination. What you can do is have a flat travel fee, so maybe you have a $250 travel fee, in addition to being compensated for your expenses. And the expenses that you want to be sure that you're compensated for might include more than you think. So back in the beginning of my business, I used to think that the only amenities that I needed to be compensated for were hotel and airfare, but I quickly realized that I was spending a lot more money than that when traveling for a wedding day. So again, I was losing money in order to photograph a destination wedding or shoot because I had more out-of-pocket expenses than I thought that I was going to. Now I make sure that I'm compensated for airfare for both myself and my second shooter, if applicable. I also require a 2-night hotel stay local to the shooting location. So that's the wedding venue for a wedding or just in the same area as a portrait session. I'm required the 2-night hotel stay. If I'm gonna stay for longer than that because I want to explore the area or because I'm gonna visit a friend while I'm there, I pay for additional nights. 2 nights is all I require from my client. But I also make sure that I have a $150 travel stipend for food, and I also require them to pay for any additional checked baggage if that's required. For a wedding day, that's required. For a portrait session, it is not. But for a wedding day, I have to check my big light stand case, which typically, depending on the airline, ends up being expensive. So I require that to be covered as well. And then I know, again, I'm not losing any money in order to travel to a destination wedding. So when a client inquires with me about a destination wedding or shoot, what I do is I send them my typical packages. I don't have a travel package with a flat fee. I just send them my normal packages. And then I say, because you are not located locally to Charleston, South Carolina, your package will also include additional travel expenses like the following. And I give them an estimate for each of those costs. So I'll look up the current airfare prices to that location. I'll look up the local hotels and give them an estimate for what I think those travel costs will be. And then I bill them for those travel costs 30 days before the shoot, event, or wedding. And that is how I function as a wedding photographer who travels often. I think it's really important to figure out what works best for your business. And I also think it's realistic to know that there are going to be exceptions to those rules. If you get an inquiry for a country that you have always wanted to travel to, for me that might be Italy. Like, I have always died to travel to Italy to photograph anything. And if I got an Italy inquiry and it was only in their budget to do $2,500, I would try my best to work within that budget to make it worth my time, and then I would extend that trip for a personal trip. So there's times where you might not want to charge as much for the expenses, or you might make exceptions so that you can go to a destination that you've always wanted to go to, and that's okay. That's a question I get really often, is like, do you ever make an exception to that rule? And the answer is yes, if it's somewhere that I have always wanted to go and something that's valuable to me and exciting to me as a photographer as well. So I hope this video was helpful. Be sure to snag that freebie down below if you want to see what I pack and bring with me to every single senior portrait session. And I would love to have you guys subscribe so you can see more education each week. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.